Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Law of Attraction Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Natasha Graziano. You probably know that by now. You've probably been watching this show for over 3 years. We're so excited today in the studio. I have an amazing guest. He is such an incredible man. He is such an amazing producer, such an amazing entrepreneur. He's somebody I know you will learn from. Today, we're going to dive into everything around opportunity, grabbing opportunity by the reins, understanding so much about business, mindset, and so much more. Welcome to the show, Michael Hofferth.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be here.
Well, apparently this is your first ever.
This is an exclusive. This is the first ever.
Ooh, that's amazing.
Other than online.
Well, yeah, because you have an amazing podcast too. Yeah. Your podcast is super cool. It's
Born Broke Live.
Love that. We'll put a link below for anyone who's already interested in that. So, okay, let's go to, you're a super successful guy, but I love to go back. I love to go back to like, where did this begin for you? Like as a kid, did you have a dream? Were you like, I want to do this growing up? Or, because it's really interesting when you came in, you said, I had known about certain boxers like Ryan Garcia, and you have this other one that you know from way before they were even public and known because of the speed of their hands. Yeah. So you obviously have an eye for understanding talent and many other things.
Well, I've kind of been in these talent realms my whole life as far as TV is concerned, right? And I've always done these talent shows, and I've seen how they pick talent. I've seen how they cast talent and all that kind of stuff. So, with social media today and being able to look around online, I just pick things that I like. And like you said, like Ryan Garcia, when he was in the garage, I could see the speed of his hands. Wow. And I was intrigued by it because at the time I was also training myself, just for physical, endurance and bettering myself, and not because I wanted to be a fighter or anything, but, so I just kind of pick things I like, and that's one thing I do like. But, going back to your question of like where it began for me, I grew up on a farm. I grew up in the country.
Like I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Did? Oh, cool.
My neighbors were sheep and cows.
Oh, there you go. Corn and beans for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in central Illinois, about 3 hours south of Chicago. I went to a small school. I graduated with 21 kids. It's called the Village of Fisher.
Wow.
It's a small farming community school. I think for me, I was an athlete and a high-level athlete. I played basketball. When I was a sophomore in high school, I got invited to like an all-star camp for the top 42 players in the state of Illinois. Wow. So I think I've always been driven by sports.
Yes.
Right. And I've always been really competitive. And I think that's carried over to present day for me as far as like being an entrepreneur and trying to always better myself. And, like we talked about a little bit before we got on camera, it's like an important thing to me is recognizing opportunity.
Love it.
Or taking advantage of an opportunity. I think a lot of times people might let opportunities slip from their hands because they're not willing to put themselves out in a place that they're uncomfortable in.
Absolutely.
If that makes any sense.
Absolutely. No, it makes perfect sense. Let's go into that a bit more.
Yeah.
So I believe that comfort is the enemy of growth.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
It's in one of my books, and it's often quoted that when you're stuck in life, it's really where you're going to grow from. So you're not going to grow from the good times. You're not going to grow from those phenomenal moments. Maybe we'll cherish them, but we don't grow from those moments. We grow from when we're in a challenge. We grow from when it's hard. So what was an uncomfortable situation that you've been through that helped you to evolve and know, I've got to take this by the reins. I've got to re-grab this situation or get a hold of something new? Or where was the moment for you?
I think the moment for me probably was coming out of high school and going to college. Because I didn't really excel as an academic. I didn't really do well in school. I didn't really embrace school. I was an athlete. I just wanted to play basketball.
Oh, I love that.
So I think it was coming out of high school where I realized that I had an opportunity that I needed to grasp because I wasn't going to go and further my education. Sure. I was just going to, I guess, go work. And at the time, my dad was a construction worker and I was just going to be a construction worker, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I had an opportunity at the last second through my uncle to submit an application to go to Pepperdine University.
Wow.
But in that application, it was like a last minute essay that I had to write. And he's like, just write the essay. Well, I had something happen to me in high school that was, I thought, really morals and values oriented that I wrote that essay on. And then with that essay, I was accepted. But I was accepted into what was called a bridge program, which no longer exists.
Right.
And the bridge program was a program that allowed people that didn't have like the grades or the SATs, ACTs to get into school to be on probation for the first semester and the summer prior to the first semester. And if you made a GPA, you got in. And so that was the first time I think there was an opportunity where I was like, I really realized this is probably out of my league going to this college, but I had no choice but to figure it out.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
I love
Yeah.
that. It makes perfect sense. You knew I've got to take this and I've got to run with it and I've
Yeah.
got to make something of it.
I did. I realized because I was hell-bent. Sorry,
Yeah.
I have to edit that.
Oh,
but-
no. You can. Profanity is not an issue on this show. We're live.
I was really hell-bent on that I wasn't going to further my education because I was recruited from colleges for basketball at the time. And I was just burned out because I had played varsity basketball from freshman year. So by the time I was a senior and being in the newspapers, I was pretty much headhunted and beat up in the games a lot. So I was like, I'm not going to go play basketball at college, even though I have some offers. But I always knew in my heart and in my stomach, in my gut, I was like, I need to go to New York or I need to go to LA.
Wow.
And this was my opportunity to get to LA. So I couldn't mess it up.
No.
So that's what I did.
What happened then? You went to LA.
I went to LA. I spent the summer, I think I had to take like 2 classes. I got A's, I believe, in both of those classes. So I was good for the first semester. Then first semester, I studied to get, to stay in, which I stayed in. And I had to graduate in 4 because I couldn't accumulate all that college debt either. So I had to graduate in 4, which I did. But, I realized a lot as I was going through college, what I was finding myself talk about in classes and what I was really studying wasn't necessarily the curriculum they were giving me, but it was about CEOs and business owners.
Wow.
And anytime I could talk to a business owner, I loved it because I would sit down and I would try to pick their brain if they give me time. And so I think that started to mindset myself into the entrepreneurial spirit of wanting to be my own boss.
Okay, so being your own boss and working for somebody, there's a completely different, avenue. Being your own boss means you have to run your own business. You have to build your own campaign. It's like everything is as much as we put in. If you don't work, you don't earn. Right?
You're on all the time.
On all the time. People don't understand. I'm like, oh God, this is so terrible. I'm working at all the craziest hours of the night. They don't understand. You have a whole team. You said you had 800 employees.
In the peak of the show that I'm the executive in charge of America's Got Talent currently, right? And at the peak of production, we have, excess of 800. I think oftentimes we have over 600.
Wow.
And that's a lot of people, but it all funnels down. There's a structure to business, and you have your executives or your heads that report into you and up to you, and then you kind of manage up from there.
So do you have to report to anyone, or is
Absolutely.
And it goes all the way out? So
the show's owned by a corporation, right? They're owned by Fremantle Media, and I have to report to executives at Fremantle Media, and then they kind of take it from there.
Wow.
But my everyday and in my career, I've always been responsible for contracts and money and building budgets and managing the money and managing the people and making sure everything kind of falls into place, right? So I think that I'm going to back up a little bit and just kind of give you how I got into television.
Oh yeah, this is for anyone that's listening, this is really interesting. So you were saying earlier how it's so important, particularly for boxing, MMA, or any profession, TV, wherever you are in the world, your camp, your tribe, your network.
Yeah. Network's everything.
Everything.
Network is everything in life. So without a good network, you're gonna have hard times. You're gonna struggle. You need a good network to be able to have a good net worth.
Absolutely. Your network is your net worth. I couldn't agree more.
So ultimately what happened to me is I thought, because I said my dad was a construction worker, right? So that's what I would spend time doing when I was younger, and I knew and watched is building. So I thought I wanted to be a developer. I thought I wanted to build homes and buildings and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't have any money. So I figured, where could I get money? Well, I could go to Hollywood. They have money. And if I gain the trust of people, maybe I can get investors and I can become a developer. Well, that didn't happen because I got into TV in my 20s and had an amazing time. And it just sucked me in, and here I am still.
Wow. Well, I love that. Okay, so you've produced various shows, exec produced or produced?
No, I've had some exec produced titles on different various things. Like if you look me up on IMDb, I've directed some stuff. I'm mainly known as an executive in charge of production on the bigger shows. Like I worked on American Idol season 4, 5, and 6, where we found Carrie Underwood. I worked on X Factor, the 3 seasons that came over the pond here.
Wow.
I've been on AGT quite some time, but in the mix of all that, we've created our own cartoon back in the day at my production company.
Wow.
I've worked with, the biggest of brands. I've worked with many celebrities because my first stint in television was working on live music shows
Oh, I
and
love live music
award
shows.
shows when they were around, which have a lot of music in them.
For
right?
sure. Do you remember Top of the Pops?
I do.
Yeah, it was in
Yeah,
the
I
UK. It was
do.
like a
Yeah.
really fantastic
Yeah.
music show. Oh, I would love that. I would love to have hosted that.
Yeah, I
Looking
love
back on
music
it.
too. I love
Yeah,
music
it's
shows.
great.
I love it. So, like Top of the Pops, like one of my favorite shows early on in my career was Billboard Music Awards because we
I
had,
love that.
we had the
Yes.
greatest artists. It was so much fun. Like I had a good run. And I think that's because of the live aspect and the music aspect. That's how I got a call from American Idol to move over to the American Idol season 4, and then I've just kind of grown in that live variety show genre on like a large scale.
Oh, that's so cool.
You know?
Let's deviate into the money talk because this is your thing. This
Sure.
is something which, I mean, your entire show is about this. Your
Warren Bro,
podcast.
yeah.
So I love that. And I will be going on that show soon. So you guys better follow it so you don't
That's
miss
awesome.
that
I love
one.
it.
Absolutely.
Can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait. Okay, so let's talk about money.
Sure.
So you understand money very well. And it's not taught in schools.
Right.
So first of all, that's an issue. The fact that
huge issue.
we do not learn about money in the way that we should be at schools. We should be learning this, I think, at 18. I think it should be an extension. You should always put a course in a school. You should contact the government and make sure that you do this. But like, if you think about it, we don't learn basics. What would the 3 basic tips be to somebody starting out? They've just left school. 3 tips on this is what you need to do.
Self-control,
Yeah.
not to buy things you don't need,
Wow.
right? Think about every move you make and if it's as efficient as possible. And that's from, like, when I say that, it's not just specifically money, but think about if you have an apartment. Do you shut the lights off when you leave the room?
Ooh.
Don't get into credit card debt. Don't get into bad credit card debt. It's a killer because it's really hard to get out of. It's hard to climb out of that. I think those are kind of the top tier things. But going back to financial literacy, I think it needs to be more taught, right? The reason Born Broke Live, I started it this year, is because of that. And I thought the target audience at the time would be 14 to like 25. But what we're seeing is we're starting to see that it's actually maybe 18 to 60.
Really?
Yeah, it's really,
Wow,
it's
so
really
people are learning
growing.
financial literature much later.
Yeah, I think people struggle with finance, right? I think it's easy to bury your head in the sand. I think people don't want to learn. And I call him my co-host, but he doesn't like to be called a co-host.
Yeah.
He's an amazing friend and he's been with me since college as well. And he's my sidekick.
Love
Okay.
it.
He was an Olympian.
Oh, wow.
In 2000, Sydney Olympics, and was actually the male Olympic athlete of the year. So he wasn't just an Olympian.
Oh my
He's
God,
an
that's
amazing
incredible.
athlete. But we ping pong stuff off each other when we don't have a guest, because every other episode we talk about a topic, whether it be bank accounts or interest rates or any of those, lending,
that.
all that kind of stuff. But I think financial literacy starts as early as it can start. And it can only help you. And we talk about, look, you don't have to be making millions of dollars. And you could be making minimum wage, but it's really about thinking about what you're doing on your daily life to better your financial situation, to get your stress down.
Absolutely. Stress is a really big problem.
Yeah.
Stress is a whole other topic. Oh my God, we'll go there in a second about how to bring that down. But financials are a big problem for stress. That's the reason that a lot of people feel stressed and then go to darker places because of the stress of financials. Okay, so one of the things that I think kids should learn is about credit and understanding how credit works super young. Like when I arrived here in America, the first thing I did was I had, luckily, an amazing spiritual mentor who's been on the show, Marie Diamond from The Secret. She takes me in, she's like coaching me, and then suddenly she's like, Natasha, I'm an ex-lawyer. So tell me, darling, do you have, and I'm doing her accent terribly. She's like, what is her accent? She's Belgium. She's like, excuse me, she's like, so darling, do you have set up your account? Do you have your LLC and your holding company and all of this shit? And I was like, fuck, I don't even have a bank account. She was like, because I just landed FOB, fresh off the boat, like just got all my visas, moved to America. I was like, oh my God, no. So there is a massive gap right there for people who have utterly no idea. And then I met other people and I was like, wait, you don't have a bank account? Like you speak to others and they're like, I don't even have Zelle. I don't have Venmo. I don't have any one of these things. I'm like, how do you pay people? Or how do you get paid?
How do you get paid? Yeah.
Yeah, like I have to send out Zelles all the time. Like, it's how I pay people. But like, I learned all of this stuff. So luckily she put me in touch with a business lawyer who set up my account, set up all my pieces so that I was able to breathe and be like, oh, I'm good. I've got an LLC. I've got my other LLC. I've got all my companies laid out perfectly. But this is something I truly advise people to like go and learn about. And you don't have to do it the way I did it through a lawyer and spend a lot of money. You could do it through Zoom. Will open you up a LLC, right?
I think you're hitting the nail on the head, right? I think what you did is the best way to go about it if you're a motivated person.
Yes.
And you're very aggressive and you know kind of a path you're trying to take. Because I also say, you should seek financial advice from a professional, whether that be a lawyer, whether that be a financial advisor or something like that.
Yeah.
Because there's so many little things way above financial literacy that you just won't know where to learn. And it'll take you years to learn it. So engaging somebody, I think, is key. But if you're just somebody that, is living a normal life, which isn't a bad thing either, you don't have to go do all that stuff. No. You can just do simple things in your daily life and save yourself tons of money. I think that, from a finance standpoint, the big thing for me today is I see so much stuff out there on the internet and social media and all that kind of stuff. And as well as I do, you have to sift through it because I follow lots of money stuff because that's what I do. But it's like you have to sift through what's real and what's not.
100%.
Right. And I think that, my background over the course of my career, I've managed over $3 billion. Wow. So I'm not a money manager. I'm not a licensed money financial advisor. I'm none of that. I'm just a normal guy.
Yep.
That's trying to help people understand how to get ahead.
I love that. And I do the same thing in my field.
That's it.
I help people and love helping people to achieve their goals.
That's it.
I know. How can we help people?
I think with these shows.
Yeah, no, 100%. Podcasts are the way forward. Short form content is the best way to go viral these days.
Yeah.
Even more
than
like
better than
TV.
me. I just started.
Yeah.
You do it all the time.
Oh my God, no, completely. Like the short form content, posting 3 times a day on YouTube Shorts will go more viral. You're getting this?
Taking notes?
Your team is like, we're here for it. It will go more viral than a long form video will. You'll find that posting 2 or 3 times a day on TikTok will also take you viral if you keep going. Consistency is key. I've got clients who are like, I've done it. I've been posting 3 times a day for 1 month. I'm like, what happened? I fell off the bandwagon. I'm like, well, there you go. And that's why you're not going viral. Because you're not putting in the effort. You got to keep going. Yeah. This is just happening 1 month. It's like a 90-day plan. Oh, and then we see the traction. Like I'm showing you this morning, like how many new accounts seeing me in 30-day stretches. Yeah. And actually it was more the last month. So it's like, if you add that up, that's like, a year. I don't know how many that is. 5 times that. 50 million new people a year. That's how you grow exponentially. Yeah. You have to post. So you can either do that yourself, you can get a VA, or you can grow, however you want. But this is the way to do it. You hire somebody to post for you if you're too busy, or you do it yourself.
That's right. And it's a lot of work.
Oh my God, it's a lot of work.
I come from production. I had no idea how much work it was.
Yeah, no.
When you're doing it by yourself and all the facets to do it right, you need a team. You need a team to do it right and stay consistent. Otherwise, you are going to fall off.
You will. It's so easy to fall because you're so busy with other things that need you.
Yeah.
And then the content doesn't necessarily bring you any cash at the beginning. So now you're posting and you're like, yeah, but where am I seeing you're coming back in? Well, it doesn't always happen like that. And then it builds and suddenly, boom, you explode and you're like a massive sensation online. Yeah. But it takes that moment to go viral. Like I've got a couple of videos that have been up for a month and have like 10 million views. And it's phenomenal. But it's great because I've had like big networks approach me like, can you promote this show? Things like that. Can you do that? I love it. I'm like, it's fantastic because my audience is female predominantly. They watch TV.
Oh, that's great.
So I've got like a female audience that watch streamers, that watch TV.
I love it.
So yeah,
that's how I make my money.
I love that. Yeah, exactly. My audience.
So your audience, please come see our shows.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my God, I love that.
But I think one of the things also for me is, if I didn't jump in with a passion,
yes,
I wouldn't be able to sustain like to continue to do this.
Very interesting.
Because,
so passion.
Yeah, I need the passion to keep going because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, you see all the success of people. It's easy. You see it every day.
Yeah.
But when you jump in, you realize how much work it is and how hard these people are working to get what the success they have. It doesn't just happen. And if it wasn't a passion of mine or the credibility I have in that field, I think I already fizzled out. And I just started this year.
I have to say, I totally agree. But it's like not just podcasting. If you don't have a passion for what you do, somebody else is going to be more passionate than you.
Yeah.
And you're going to want it, you're going to go for it, but somebody else next to you wants it more. You have to want it wholeheartedly.
I love you so much because that's how I feel too. And that's what I tell young people. I always tell young people, I go, when you're sleeping, somebody else is working harder than you.
Yes. God,
remember
you're a
that.
great keynote
Remember
speaker.
that.
Yes.
So when you're sleeping, not to make you feel guilty, somebody else wants it more than you because they're training.
You know, that's it. Have you felt like that in business as well with
all the
your
time
companies? Because you've built 2 incredible companies.
I have 2 companies. I have a production company that I've had for quite some time. I think this year is 20 years.
Congratulations.
20 years. So
wow.
I have an amazing partner in that. Again, a person that I met, his name is Dave Garcia in college.
Wow.
So my network.
Yes, there we go.
He's like family. So he and I started from the ground floor. No investors, started on a credit card, just went for it. And 20 years later, we still have it.
Gosh, that's amazing.
And then recently, not too long ago, let's see, maybe 5 years ago? No, I think 5 years ago, we started a production equipment rentals company.
Love that.
Again, the kid that runs that is a partner too. His name is Brian Gross. He's amazing. Has way more energy than me.
Lots of energy.
But he's amazing, and he too is part of that network. I mean, he worked for me for years, and then he wanted to start a family of his own, and he wanted to get out of the rat race of production. And he always heard me talk about rentals because having a production company and doing commercials and doing all these things, we would buy gear and it would sit in our warehouse or office, and I'd be like, "Why aren't we renting this stuff?"
Yeah, no.
So he came to me and he's like, "Hey, I want to do something different. I'll do a rentals company if you'd like." And I was like, "Ooh, this is that moment, opportunity."
Wow,
because I trust him.
Opportunity.
We have a shorthand. We have all that stuff, and I was like, "Let's do it."
And you said yes.
5 years later, here we are, and we're in like a 12 to 15,000 square foot warehouse.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
With a lot of stuff.
So this just goes to show. Really?
Yeah.
Gosh, you loan them out to.
We rent all our gear to some of the biggest TV shows. It's funny when you watch TV, because Brian will say it too. He'll watch the shows and he'll be like, "I'll be watching a network." He's like, and it'll be easy for us to have 2 of the 3 biggest shows on that network. He'll be like, "Oh, we do that one, and we do that one."
Wow.
So we're very grateful and we're very, very happy. And again, that's the network too, right? So people come to us because they've either worked with us in the past or they worked for us. So they know us and they trust us, and we have a good rapport, and everyone's family.
I love that. See, I love the way you said yes. You said yes to the opportunity.
Yeah.
And you take it by the reins. You just decide, I'm going to do this. Somebody said to me the other day, actually you probably know him, he's a comedian, King Batch, really good friend of mine. And actually that was the night where I saw Ryan Garcia again.
Oh, really?
me, him and Batch. And it was, I don't know how, it was just all in LA at the same moment. And I mentioned Batch because I said, "How are things going?" And I'll tell you off camera some really cool things. And then he said, after that really great news, he then said, "I've just decided this year to say yes to everything." I'm like, now that's a really interesting move, because saying yes to everything is amazing, but then how do you discern between, oh, that might not be worth it? But it's irrelevant. If you say yes to enough good things, one of them, it's like throwing, things at a sticky wall. It's going to stick.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to say yes. You have to say yes, because you never know if it'll come back around. So it'll be a missed opportunity potentially if you don't say yes at that moment, because you can't sit on it too long. You can't think about it too much. Yeah. Remember this: you can always get out of a situation.
Yes,
right.
But you can't always go.
But you can't always get back into it if you let it pass. So I think a big thing for me is don't worry so much about putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation either. Right? Because you said earlier, that's what pushes you to be better.
Absolutely.
It forces you. It's like the inadvertent force that you have to raise the bar. You have to step up, in order to be in the situation you might not feel comfortable in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But that's where we grow. That's where things are going to change. We're going to see, if you always did what you always did, you'll always get what you always got.
Yeah.
So you have to do something different to see a different result.
Yeah. I always say if nothing changes, nothing changes.
Yes, exactly. I love it. Our quotes are so good. Have you written a book yet?
No, but it's in the wheelhouse.
Good.
It's in the wheelhouse. I'd love to, so we can talk about that too.
Absolutely. And let me know.
How many have you written?
I'm on my third.
Wow.
I have a phenomenal literary agent. She's done some great people. We'll chat whenever you're. Oh, I've introduced multiple very successful people who have done great deals with her.
That's so cool. You're such an inspiration.
Thank you.
I feel so honored to be here.
You're so sweet.
It's so cool.
I love meeting people, and I love just like I love connecting with individuals who are just as driven, who are like, I'm a Capricorn, okay? So it's like, I think apparently it's in our stars or whatever, but my mum's a Capricorn too. She's in the studio right now. And I just believe it's not just the star sign, but it's who I am. Like people always say, where's your energy come from? I want to like get a piece of it. I want to do it. And I'm like, I wish I could show you, like or bottle it up and sell it. But I'm like, I could teach you a little bit. You know, I could.
Well, I have a funny story about your energy.
Yeah, go on.
So I'm here now.
Okay.
A really good friend of mine, I told him I was coming here, and he looked you up, and he came into my office not long after, and he goes, you know what, Mike? She's going to eat you alive. And I said, why? He goes, she puts out more energy in 5 minutes than you have in all your years.
Oh my God. That's so funny. And I actually used that quote. I was like, I will eat you for breakfast. I literally say that to people. But no, I really love being like an alpha female because I'm very feminine. I'm very like when I'm with a person, not in business, but personally, I will hang my pants off at the door. You know, I'll like put them up and be the queen, but he'll be my king. Right? So that's a relationship. But in business, I'm like, oh no, I will match that energy of a man. And I will bring the fire. I walk into a room and like people don't even know who I am sometimes. And they'll be like, you know, because I'm not known everywhere. I'm sure there's places, but you know, people will walk in, they'll be like looking around and they're like, who is she? As soon as they walk in, I'm like, I don't know what it is. I just carry an aura with me. But stars do have that. Like you work with stars all the time. You know, you could probably sit within 2 seconds and know that person's a star.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's like the casting element.
Yes.
That's how you cast.
Yeah.
People, they have the it factor, or no?
It's the it factor. It's an energy that's like infectious. You want to watch it, and then or it could be so effing annoying that you have to see it.
Yeah.
Like so in your face.
Well, that's why reality works.
It does. It does. I mean, I can think of so many characters on there that I can't stand.
But you got to watch.
So good to watch. It's so good to watch. That's what makes good TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love TV.
Yeah. TV. I can't say that I don't love TV.
Yeah, of course. Do you have like a particular, do you lean more towards terrestrial channels or like streamers? And
Now I do a lot of YouTube.
So do I.
I do a lot of YouTube.
Yes.
I think it's because I've adopted that short attention span, you know, where with YouTube, I can just see what I want to see right then, and then I can move on.
Yeah, I know.
And I can see if I like it immediately, and if I don't, I can move on.
I know.
You know, I'm not really a movie guy. I don't have the attention span for a movie. I just don't. I think
that's so interesting. I find it hard to watch movies full through. I haven't. People always say, "Oh, yeah, do you love to watch movies?" And I'm like halfway through, I'm already just, and I'm like, "Oh God, I really got to try."
Yeah.
But it's really. I don't often meet people who are like quite similar with me. I love movies, but I'd rather be doing something. Like, not, you know, unless it's like one of the, June, I really struggled with. And I said, I loved it. Oh, it was so good, but I struggled. I was on my phone and it was so long. June 2.
Yeah.
But it's a phenomenal film. It's just I was on my phone too much. I need to like handle that. But okay, YouTube, what are you watching at the moment?
On YouTube? No, I do a lot of research on YouTube personally.
Yeah.
I look at a lot of real estate. Again, I look at a lot of finance stuff.
I'm
looking at finance stuff, trying to educate myself in finance, just because the world's getting harder. It's getting more expensive.
It is.
Everybody's out there to take your money. You know, and I'm not saying that as a negative thing. It's just, you know, everyone's looking for that profit. And I'm just trying to see like if there's any other like little hacks or things that I haven't come across that might work. And what I find is a lot of it's repetitious. There are people that just spin it and say it in different ways.
Yeah.
And that's why, like I said earlier, it's really easy to get yourself sucked into watching something that's not real.
Yes.
Right? That has no credibility, especially with like graphics, all the graphics. People can be very clever these days, but then, you know, you gotta really look into it and see if it's a credible source that you want to follow. because it's easy to get duped, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. Absolutely. You have to watch things where you know it's results based. This person has an education in it or they understand it
Yeah.
or like, yeah, I find that as well. Otherwise, there's so many coaches out there talking about
So many
about the law of attraction. Okay,
Yeah.
while we're on that topic, as that is the name of the show, do you have any daily rituals that you do? Do you have anything that inspires you? Like, what's your $1 million ritual?
That's a great question. I think it's business, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think I'm an idea guy, but I also am a guy that implements it, right?
Right.
So there's a lot of idea people as well, and I've come across them, and it's like I always say to people, because a lot of young people ask me, they'll be like, "Well, how did you start a business?" I'm like, I really don't know. Like, if I want to be honest with them, which I do, I say I went to people that I trusted, that I had relationships with, and in the beginning, when I had nothing, absolutely nothing but a credit card, I bartered. I'm like, hey, can I use your insurance? And I'll give you a case of beer.
Nice.
And like, so I used their insurance because I needed to get equipment.
Yeah.
And because I didn't have it, I couldn't afford insurance and this and that. I'm not saying that's the right way to go, but I think to answer that question, it's really business. Like I constantly, if I could, I'd have 100 businesses, but I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
Like I have so many ideas in my head, and I'm not a guy that just likes to have ideas and not like pull the trigger.
Yeah.
I want to pull the trigger, but I'm also not like, thus far in starting businesses, my initial reason I started the first businesses, because I thought I wanted to do M&A when I got older.
Really?
Which is mergers and acquisitions, if you don't know. So the mergers and acquisitions is something to me because one of my favorite games growing up was Monopoly.
I love Monopoly. Yeah,
I
still
love
have it.
Monopoly. So that's why I love real estate and I look at real estate a lot. But I want to do M&A, and I thought to myself early on, yeah, I work on these great TV shows and they're huge and they're reputable. But if I need to go raise a fund and say, hey, I need a $100 million fund or I need a $500 million fund because I want to buy and sell companies now, they're going to say, well, what credibility do you have with companies? So I said, you know what? I'll start a company head on with a credit card and I'll make it profitable. That way, when I want to raise a fund, I have that in my repertoire.
Very good.
So then now I've built a different time, because a production company is service oriented, right? Like unless you can own the IP, which is harder and harder all the time, it's almost next to impossible these days. But then I started from a service based, and now I have the equipment rental, right? So now I'm learning the value of building an equipment rental company and putting a valuation on it to possibly sell it.
Very nice.
So I think if everything were to go perfect, and I'm older, quite a bit older than I am because I'm quite young.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, you are. Absolutely.
I would say, M&A would be the way I'd go, and I would use my credibility in building businesses without any funding, hard knocks to where they are today, to say, I need $500 million.
Wow.
And let's go buy and sell business, because then I can look at the P&Ls, the profit and losses, and I can revamp, because of all the employees that I manage, right? I can revamp the internal and I can boost the profits, hopefully.
Very
Then I could sell those off like Monopoly. Like little
Oh,
Plinko chips.
back to Monopoly board. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you play? I'm guessing there was an American version of Monopoly, because the version that I play is like Bond Street, Mayfair.
Yeah.
So you know all about London?
No. There's an American version.
There
It's
is?
like Park Place.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's a different version. That's so
Yeah.
interesting. I'm like, our version is all the London
Sure.
area.
Yeah, it's the same with America.
What area is it? What states is that in on the Monopoly board for America?
Well, New York was always the more expensive states, so those are the ones I always try to put hotels on.
Oh, okay.
How do you
So
get
it's
the
like
most
the
rent?
whole of America.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, because you said you had wanted to move to either, you knew your calling was New York or LA.
Well, New York or LA, I thought in my little brain that that's where the money and opportunity was, which pretty much is. They're big cities, right? And I didn't know which would be better. I think I was more suited for LA because I wanted to surf.
Yeah.
I wanted the beach life.
I love that.
I grew up in the country, like I said, so I was used to space. Like I live in Agora. There's space up there. New York would have been lovely. I'd love to visit New York, but yeah.
So nice. So going to mindset, do you read any self-help books, self-development books? Do you meditate? Do you walk in nature? Do you do yoga? Like, what's your thing?
I meditate, yes.
You do?
I meditate. I've been meditating since I was in high school.
Oh, really?
As an athlete, yep. I would meditate before every basketball game.
Wow.
And I would envision scoring 30 points. I'd envision what I was going to do. It was just something I think someone probably brought up. I didn't know how to do it, but I felt like I can definitely get into that, like deep, deep thought and visualize and block everything else out. And because I was doing that in high school, I still do it today. I still do it. Like if I'm falling on hard times or having a tough week, I find myself in a quiet place, just taking a moment to do that. I've grounded before, gone barefoot and grounded myself with the earth, I'd love to do yoga. Just
you should do it on the grass. Double down.
Yeah.
So you're grounding and doing yoga on the grass.
Do you do yoga?
Yes, not often. I should do it way more, but I love it. And I go outside in my garden and I do a flow, even if it's only 10 minutes of yoga on the grass in the sun. And that like catches 3 things: the grounding, the yoga, the exercise, and the vitamin D.
Yeah, perfect. You mentioned something earlier about manifestation.
Yeah.
So one of the things on top of like meditation for me is I write down what I want.
Oh, have you seen my TED Talk on scripting?
No.
Oh my God.
We weren't there yet.
Oh my God.
But yeah, the TED Talk, I couldn't wait to talk to you about it.
Oh, oh my God, that's so cool. On your show, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But okay, carry on. You write things down.
Yeah, I write things down. I write down whatever I want, whether it's short term or it's long term. But I also learned that as a kid. I think I had a teacher, like when I was in grade school, that made us write down, I don't even know what, but they made us write a bunch of stuff down and then fold it up and put it away. And then they told us to take it out and like later in time and then see if anything actually came to fruition. So I learned that young, and then I still do it today. And I think it's a powerful thing. I think it works. I really do. It's not even I think it works. I know it works.
Wow. I love that. So what I teach is writing it down in the past tense. So you don't just write down, I would like to. You say, I did this. I achieved this. I became this. Because when you write down the past tense, it's scientifically proven to bring it to fruition faster. You activate the ventral prefrontal cortex of the brain. I could go into neuroscience all day. And it basically helps you to manifest this goal of what you want when you write it down with a pen to paper. When you write it in the past tense, your brain doesn't know whether it's a memory or an imaginary one. And it stores it as a memory. And then it brings people, events, and places around you who will bring that goal closer to you faster.
And I think I do it inadvertently without writing stuff down sometimes too.
Yeah.
You probably do as well. It's like if I think of something or somebody I want to reach, which I've said for years, there's nobody you can't get a hold of. You're 1 degree of separation from everybody.
People I know it's 5, I'm like, it's 1.
Yeah, because people will come to me and they'll be like, oh man, it would be so cool if we could talk to so-and-so. And I'll be like, I can get them. They're like, what are you talking about? You can get them. I'm like, I'll get them. Just give me a minute.
I love that.
We can get to them somehow.
I love that. That's so exciting. But that's how your network grows and how other people come to you for things.
Yeah.
When you find people constantly come to you, people come to you, they're like, hey, my Facebook account's down. I'm like, how do you know that I know the MD and Meta? Like, how do you know that I'm the person? Like, because you're so connected.
Yeah.
So of course you're going to know like somebody in every arena. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. But it's interesting when we use those contacts in the right way, we are really 1 degree of separation away. We can achieve anything.
Yeah.
I always look at the beginning of the year. Who do I want to work with this year?
Yeah.
Who do I want to meet? Why? What philanthropy do I want to do with them? What shows do I want to do with them? Where do I want to go with them? And that's amazing because you're designing your own life. You are the architect of your own life.
Yeah.
We decide it. We decide who we want to be. We step into the power of them now. And I wrote my second book. It's called Be It Till You Become It. I'll bring you on when I come on the show.
Awesome.
You're going to love it. So instead of living in this state of one day when I'm a millionaire, I will be this way, or one day when I have the amazing career, then I will be like this. No, what you do is you go back and you say, how would I behave if I was already the millionaire? How would I behave if I was already this? And so I would be abundant. I'd be worthy. I feel amazing. Like I would be this character if I were already there. And then you be it until you become it.
This is so real. Things she's saying right now, I definitely support and believe in.
Thank you.
This is all real stuff that can happen. Because I know there's a lot of people out there. I've already experienced the haters. They're already out there. But I think that, because being in the country as a 14-year-old boy that didn't have the internet at the time, because it was before my time. So I love that you can reach anything now. You can search anything now. You have everything at your fingertips now. And it's like telling young people, like there is credibility and there's realism in what you're speaking about. And it really works. Because you know what I'm saying. Basically, it's easy to listen and go, yeah, I've heard this, blah, blah, blah. But there's truth to it and it works. One of the things for me in life is your character and your credibility are everything.
Everything.
You have to remember that. You have to, and plus, I know it's a little controversial depending on who you ask or whatever, but from, I would say at least my senior year or just out of high school, the 48 laws of power.
Oh, that
I don't know.
it's
Yeah,
intense.
it's intense. But
Some of the laws I like, some of them I'm a bit.
you have to sift through what will work for you and what
Yeah.
won't. But you have to use logic too to know that some of those are outdated and they
Absolutely.
really aren't good things to have. But it will make you think, and it will help your brain and drive you where you want to go.
No, it's so true.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, look, I could talk to you for hours. I'm so fascinated about everything that you've achieved and that you've done. And like, I love your journey. You're so inspirational. Thank you so much for coming today.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thanks for
being
having me.
here. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for being here. It's been fantastic. I can't wait to come on your show. Guys, I'm going to put all of Mike's handles below for his socials so you can follow him. And if you want to go and listen to the amazing show, which I will be on soon. So exciting. I hope you've enjoyed today, everybody, as much as I have. I've loved having you here. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Amazing. We'll see you guys again next Friday on the Law of Attraction Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Natasha Graciano, and we'll see you soon.